Welcome, all welcome. Thank you for joining our office hours webinar, How to Successfully Pass APMP Practitioner on Your First Try. The word first try is very important, and I'll explain why in the coming slides. But for now, let me share the slides and we begin. So hopefully you can see the slides. Let me know if you can see, press 1 in the chat box if you can, please. Welcome, all welcome. Thank you so much for joining. So once I see number, perfect. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So what we have here is a long list of slides, but what's more important is, let me not share the screen, because if I do that, this happens. So this is not the first time that we are doing. Obviously, for the past 2.5 years, Baachu Scribble was launched, and we have certified close to 1,100 professionals. This new practitioner OTE was launched, I think, June 2020. So from then on, every month, we kind of onboarded 5 to 6 students, and we just worked with them to understand how we could structure the training program as it is, learn from them why it's hard, why it's not hard, what are the tips, what are the tricks, etc. Today, what you're going to hear from me is a collective learnings, not just from us, but from the 150 plus students who successfully passed with us in the past 2 years, roughly, maybe 22 months. So that's it. So let's begin. You know what the practitioner is. It's just a second level of the training within APMP, but before that, you have foundation. So colleagues, most of you should have got your foundation degree if you want to practice practitioner, but that's it. It just builds up from foundation, but this is much more of application of knowledge. Round numbers, not really the exact numbers, because obviously I'm not APMP. So round numbers is there is close to 10,000 plus foundation. That number could be 12,000. I don't know. I'm just giving you a round number. And then roughly 20% of them, 2,000 plus, is practitioner. And then comes 300 plus, which is professional people, normally with 20-25 years experience. In my case, I wasn't aware of APMP, as I mentioned, until 2016. So I need to accelerate my foundation and practitioner in a short time to get me certified. So I did that, and many of you will be doing the same. And this is an interesting one. In the chat box on the top, there is a quick poll section. If you haven't done, I suggest you do a quick poll. Because what we found out is we launched this end of November. So end of November, December, January, and February. And now we'll be consolidating the findings as of end of February. Obviously, there is a price towards it. But the underlying principle is, are you going to stay or are you going to move? If so, how and why? So far, with this 1,200 plus professionals that we have who kindly shared the inputs to us, 39%, more than 1/3, are looking to move roles within 1 to 3 months. And out of which 21% are looking for a salary increase of at least 20%. So obviously, you have to somehow justify why you need that salary. One of the ways to justify is, hey, I am now practitioner certified because I'm now elevated myself to it. And that's it. Even then, if you are in this sector, if you want to go to the next level, this is a nice certificate. But now is the time, as I mentioned, to invest on your practitioner, to become that LE 20. And once you become LE 20, then you can progress to the next, and you can progress to the next. So at this point, I would like to, again, I find every single opportunity to talk about them. Today, I would also like you to bring to your attention of the two legends, Tory Burch and Kathy Day, as you know. So they are the brains and the heart behind the APMP practitioner that you're going to take, which means you just need to get into the mindset of the examiner who have set the syllabus. So both of them are on the podcast. You can listen to them. But again, we are not them, but you need to understand how they think, what type of bids they worked on, and collectively how that all came together in the scenario and the question types, and also how the whole thing kinds of pans out. Okay, I'm already giving you a tip there. So moving on, today our plan is just not going to go and talk orientation. It's very easy to talk about orientation. We'll be peeling the layer, as in life that teaches us. We'll be peeling it one layer at a time. Because otherwise you will very quickly get lost in the overall thing. So as it says here, Life is like an onion. You peel it off one layer at a time, and sometimes you weep. Believe me, practitioner can test your stress levels to the maximum. Because I will share it now. If you take the exam now, immediately in the 48 hours, I would love you to take the test within the 48 hours, the mock test, I mean, or the real test. You're going to score somewhere between 30 to 45. If you score more than 45, you should immediately after this, you should take the exam. But the chances of you scoring 30 to 45 is highly likely. It's to get that 10 marks, you're going to weep, you're going to cry, you're going to do all it takes. Because most people fail at the borders, 37, 38, 36, 39, and most people pass between 40 to 45. So our aim is here is not to score 75 out of 88. Our aim is here is just to score the bare minimum of 40. If we score any more, well and good. As Scribble student, obviously we track the scores of all our students. The highest score scored by a Scribble student is 77 out of 80. He's from the States. I will stop there because he doesn't like to be told, but I tell everybody. So again, but our aim is just to go 40. And today we are going to go layer by layer, right? Be prepared. It's going to be a dense session, but I'll keep it as possible fun. So mention 3 years of bid and proposal experience. And most important thing is you just need to experience with the APMP approach. So the important point here is if colleagues, friends who have joined today and whoever you're going to listen to this recording, if you have lots of experience, then you should be worried. If colleagues, you have experience between 3 years to 5 years-ish, then you'll be happy. You should be happy. The reason for that is you are not here to rewrite the syllabus of APMP. APMP syllabus is already written. Yes, it's slightly need to be updated. It's done in 2015, but it's done on a specific way, which is based on US federal, and the whole question banks is around a certain way of working, best practices and stuff. The world has moved on. Now you might have fast procurement, you might have fast way of doing things, not like have 12 members in the team, but one person doing the job, etc. You need to forget about the way of working, how you do in your current thing, and you need to get and immerse yourself in the way APMP asks you to think. That's the second way. In addition to thinking about the mindset of the examiner, you should also get into the mindset of APMP, because it's dire syllabus, not in the way that you work or the way your company works or the way that you have experience bids and proposals for the most thing. That's why some people come and debate and say, this is not right, this is how it works, guys, tough luck. This is based on APMP's practice. That's the second core tip. These could be basics, but believe me, that once you get a 37 mark and flip over, then you might be thinking, why did I miss the 3 marks? These are the little things. So let's go back and have more understanding of the actual exam. So if you haven't taken the online exam, I think it's important to familiarize yourself. There are 6 buckets of questions, and that's split across 12 to 25 marks. A total, it's 80 marks. It's 2.5 hours, which is 150 minutes for people with English as first language, and it's 185 minutes or 30, 35 plus more for minutes for people whose English is not your first language. I appreciate, I understand you might be familiar with English, you have been writing English, but please do, if your mother tongue is not English, please do tick this box. You might need it because this exam does drain you big time. So pass mark is 40% and you have to score 80, but that's where the second point comes in. You are not actually examining for 80 marks. At max, you are, regardless who you are going to lose 10 marks anyway. So you have to score 40 out of 70. And I'll explain what I mean by that in the coming slides. Then it's open book, which is manual. Again, that's the flip side. You might think it's an open book, body of knowledge, etc. But in the real exam, if you have 2 screens, which is allowed in the exam, I'll also share that you can't flip from one screen to the other. So you have scenario and you have the actual answers in one place, then additional information in the other. If you flip it over, go to BOK and come back, it wastes time, it adds more stress, etc. But just to keep you happy, it's an open book and it's an exam. So what we have here, we gradually go and we do. So the practitioner syllabus, interestingly, I will check with you who have done foundation recently. It's actually built from the foundation syllabus. So let's just go from there. As I mentioned here, practitioner equals foundation plus additional 7 chapters. So if If you have already done the foundation recently, then you should be good to go. But remember, foundation just talks about what is the best practice, but here you need to apply the best practice. Screenshot this page, because this is going to be super important for you. Why? Because this is where we are peeling the layer. I have read behavior and attitude here. Behavior and attitude, obviously, Baskar is different to Rebecca. Rebecca is different to Rita. Rita is reflect to Azruddin, right? But the behavior and attitude questions, which is 12 marks, you need to behave in the way APMP examiner behaves. So nobody knows how he or she behaves, but that's a tough one. I mean, chances of you scoring 6 marks, which is what we need to score out of 12 to pass, is going to be pretty challenging. So you may be scoring only 4. This is why I mean you're not actually taking the test for 80 marks, you're taking the test for 70 marks. So you're going to lose, even if you flip upside down, you're going to do that. But that person, the moment we share the sample paper, which is our sample paper, the first thing he said that is, I now know what the examiner wanted. The moment you get to the mindset of examiner, this behavior and attitude question, you can score even 12 out of 12, but it's a challenge. So information, research, management, first part. Then you have the planning and management development. Each of these sections has, there are 45 units behind this. So all these are in body of knowledge, which I'll share. But the important thing is not every syllabus areas is examined at the same way. So life is not fair, as they say. Similarly, the examinable syllabus is also not fair. So you may be very good in certain areas in the way you collect the information, collect the inputs for your questions, subject matter inputs, and you build up questions there. And the way you plan your content planning, do it, or the way you, this is where your personal experiences comes in. But either way, remember this. The marks will be split between 12, 28, and 28 and 12, which means if you are going to lose some marks, which is behavior and attitude, you need to get more on the other 3 sections. The other tip here is, but you might be naturally very good in one of these 3 sections anyway, which means you need to do your best. And again, by taking the mock test, you're going to know at the very end which areas you have scored well. So you need to go deeper on those areas to score even more, and you need to reduce. And if you are losing some marks in planning and management, for example, then you need to work on that sections by going back, referring, studying more about the syllabus areas. But look into this, and we are going to go deeper on this. But for now, note down the syllabus areas are split up into 4 sections. Let's go. Next, the question types. The first layer of complexity we already talked, which is the syllabus areas, which means not every syllabus areas you're going to score the same way. Next comes the question type. The question type, if you have taken a foundation, the very basic question type is classic. Like there is a question, there are 4 options, you just pick up one of the options, happy days, you just move on. But in practitioner, there are 4 different forms. The building up from the classic question is what we call multiple response. So instead of choosing 1 response, you're going to choose 2. But let me also, unfortunately, make this red, because in this case, you need to pick up 2 answers. If you pick 1 answer correct and 1 answer wrong, you're going to lose both the marks, which means the chances of you picking all the questions correct in the multiple response question, say, assuming there are 18 marks associated to it, the chances of you getting all 9 questions correct, 9 into 2, 18, is going to be very rare. You're going to get maybe 3 or 4 correct, and you're going to get the rest 3 or 4 partly correct, and you're going to get the rest 3 or 4 maybe completely wrong. So what that meant is that 18 marks, you may be able to score 8 to 10 marks. So this is the reason when I mentioned that you're not actually examining for 80 or bidding for 70, because there will be chances 2 questions, 2 responses might look very similar out of 4 options, and you might pick up 2, but you might lose some marks there. But thinking carefully, multiple response questions, the moment you see 2 responses, your brain should automatically shade it. In a piece of paper, you should write that question is 2, and I'm going to take some time to answer. So that's second. Then comes the matching and sequence matching, which is part of point number 2. Matching is simply column A to column B, just match. Here you will have a definition. And there you will have what that means. So they might give you a definition of executive summary, value propositions, and theme statements. And there they might have just the keywords of executive summary, value propositions, just match them, what is it. But in other cases, it might be sequence matching. So you just have to order them. Which comes first? Which one do you do first? Which one do you do second, third? This is where you might again face some challenges, which is like the way you might do the way bidding might not be the same way APMP wants you to do. Again, you need to unlearn to relearn. So you might pick, hey, I always do exec summary at the very beginning, and I'll do it again, and I'll do it again. I always do my kickoff meeting, halfway through the journey. But APMP says you should be done 15% before the actual deadline, 15% from your proposal life cycle, etc. This is where the way you might do the work versus APMP might do the work might be a little bit challenging. This is why this exam is tough, slightly tough. I'll come back to it, why it's slightly tough. So matching from one place to other, sequence matching, you just need to order it. The last comes assertion. Assertion is like a love or hate relationship, but you now need to start to write wherever you can, I love assertion, I love assertion. You know what, it's fine, whatever your family thinks about it, don't worry about it. Please start to love assertion, because this is the easiest question type, but because it's quite time consuming to answer this, people hate it. But this is by far the less complex, straightforward, knowledge-based. If you're doing foundation, assertion questions is where foundation type question comes up. But because it's packaged in a way, it's hard, you need to kind of start to love this. The moment you see assertion, you just need to punch up and say, hey, that's the best. I am going to score more. So assertion, I have a few examples. I'll share that with you. We have column A and column B. We just need to first go through individual columns in column B, not column A, column B, and first confirm, are these true, 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 true? Those are 4 statements in column B that you need to answer whether they are true. Then you have to do the same exercise in column A to see, is these individual statements true or false? Now you have done the test 1 and test 2, which is column B and column A. The next part is we just need to match and or understand the reason for column A to exist is column B, right? So is it an assertion or they're both independent? Is there any correlation between the column B response and column A response? If there is a correlation, the answer is A. If both our individual statements are true, but there is no correlation, the answer is B. And if there is no correlation, but they all are true or false individually, then the answer is C, D, E, etc. When I show the example, you're going to go. But the point here is, you need to remember, you need to start to love assertion. So the scenario, the question, and the answer, right? That's the part. The scenario, again, you need to start to, I'll touch the scenario, but the most important thing is, by taking mock exam, we recommend taking the mock exam 3 times, and I'll explain why. But it's important to get the scenario, because the scenario kind of tells who the buyer is and who are the competitors. There is a separate slide about scenario, but for now, understand part of the structure of the paper. There is a scenario split up into 6 sections. Each sections will have 12 questions or something roughly, and you're going to go from there. Remember, we talked about assertion and the other questions. Now, the second slide I would like you to take a picture is this one. The syllabus is again not fair. It's 12, 24, 24, 12, or 28, 28, 12, something like that, my memory. And the assertion questions, right? This is where your experience of this exam will be unique for you. Nobody can tell, I have got this, so you are going to do it in the same way. We have trained 150 plus students, not one had the same experience with this test. You're going to find your own pattern. You're going to find what's unique about you, how you're going to apply. But this is how we are peeling the layers. Number 1. We got the syllabus. Now we are going to look at the question types. The reason I say start to love assertion is, guys, this is by far the most easiest, but because its package is hard. So 18 to 28, in your mind, you need to start standards in your own brain. Assertion questions, I am going to get minimum 18, if possible, more than 18. Because that's it. But you're going to get, as it says, you're going to get 3 questions, which has 4 marks each, or you're going to get 7 questions, which 4 marks each. So that's how the whole thing pans out. So anyway, there will be maximum 6 assertion part questions, which could be around 24 or 28 marks. So you now need to say, for the assertion questions, I'm going to score as maximum as possible. The good news is the behavior and attitude syllabus area will not be examined in the assertion type, which is even better for you. So you are going to get more marks. So assertion, that question, you're going to score as many. Multiple response, I already touched. Tough one, because you might score, as it says, 16 to 22. There will be maximum 5 multiple part questions. So that's like 5 into 2, or it could be more than 5-ish it comes up with. But either way, you fairly assume if it's 16 or 22, let's take a middle part, say 20, and if which means there will be 10 part questions. So 10 questions multiplied by 2 marks, you need to aim to get maybe 4 to 5 correct, and maybe 6, 7 correct, but don't bet on it to just say you're going to get all correct. So you need to start to see multiple response, be even more attentive, and try to score your maximum on that. The assertion, you need to also be attentive, because that's you cannot waste any marks on this. In this one also, you have to try to score as much. Just save this one. Then comes classic matching sequence question. This is, as I already mentioned, half of the questions will be coming from this one. So classic, this is where, but whatever the question that's in a simple question format will be the hardest, which means all the knowledge-based questions, which is like, just tell me what an executive summary is, just tell me who should be taking this role. Is the capture manager or the proposal manager? That type of questions will be coming in the assertion question. The analysis questions, which is like you need to based on, regardless, you need to base it on the scenario, base it on who is the buyer, who's the competitor, the interaction between them. That analysis questions will be coming in the classic matching and sequence matching. So remember that your third level of complexity here is the learning level, which is the application and the analysis. Again, if you have a piece of paper, you have to have 3 columns. One, the syllabus areas, the question types, and the learning levels. The permutation and the combination between all 3 things is what's going to make this exam interesting for you. And you need to create your own pattern. You need to create, okay, assertion questions, I'm going to go deeper. Multiple response, I'm going to do my best, because those 2 predominantly are going to be knowledge-based, because it's quite hard for them to go anymore. But the other questions, because it's single questions, it's much easy to go in the analysis-based. Analysis means you'd have to look at the scenario, but remember, when the additional information, the scenario, whatever they say might be changed, like how you get a clarification question in an exam. This is based on a scenario. Halfway through the process, they identify the buyer has changed the specification. Now, answer this. So you might be having an analysis question. You might have got the answer right, but in additional information, the answer is different and you miss it. So that's the reason the analysis part is slightly complex, but to balance your expectations, analysis questions will be the most part of the question, because this is practitioner. So these 3 slides save it. And you now need to plan your self-study around these. So I now will launch a poll. Go. The poll will ask you, oh no, sorry, end poll. Let me go and practitioner poll. Launch. Okay, I'm going to give 1 minute just to get a feel. When are you planning to take your practitioner exam? The second one is, when did you complete your foundation exam? Again, this is an anonymous poll, so I won't know who said what. So please do give an answer, because in that way we can customize the learning even more. So go for it, take it. Let me give you 10 more seconds. Right. Okay, we have 26 participants answered out of 37. So another 5 seconds for others. But this is for your own thing, because if I don't know the answers for this, then I might be talking stuff around different type of people. So it's important for me to get to know who you are. And when you have done, because again, this is an anonymous poll. So I don't know who's who and what they have done. So that's done. So what we have here is a very quick result is few people are planning to take within a month. Good, message me after this. I'll do my best to ensure that you get certified. 10 out of 28 people who have voted has said they are going to get it in the next 3 months, which is what I was anticipating, and 4 in the next 3 months. But most of you are planning to get it. If I add the numbers, most of you are planning to get it in 2022. Get it done, because you never know when the syllabus is going to be changed again. It might happen soon, and you might be going and redoing it again in the whole place. That's great news. So the content that I have is fine. Then foundation wise, oh, great to hear. Wow, 50% of the voters have recently qualified foundation, which means, guys, don't waste any more time, get your practitioner done. We also have few colleagues who have taken before 2013 on the other side. You know what, we have work to do, because the online exam, the syllabus, we just need to get used to it. But others are in between 2018 all the way to 2020. Few colleagues are between 2013 to 16. Thank you so much. That's very useful. Let me end the poll. And I'll share the results so you can see the results. That's what I have here. And let me stop the sharing and we continue. So what do we have here? So primarily, we already talked about most of it. Remember, multiple response question is the hard one. Assertions will look like hard, but you just need to find a way. Very quickly, this is how your classic type will look like. There is a question, there are 4 answers, bingo, just get it done. The next one is matching. Column 1 here, this is the role of this person, this is the thing. As I mentioned, if you see here, this is analysis question. See, you're connecting it to the scenario, using the scenario, which means, whoops, you have to go back to the scenario. The challenge here, what do you think is the challenge? They have given a particular competitor or a service provider's name. CSS bid manager is not any bid manager. It's the CSS bid manager, which means very quickly you just need to be able to say, hey, it's the third supplier and it's that bid manager, and Solas is the buyer and is provided by the opportunity manager. You just need to assume that the opportunity manager is also for CSS. So then you need to answer these questions: account manager, opportunity manager, proposal manager, teaming partner. The challenge here is there is not much consistency in the way APMP calls you. It will be called a sales manager, or it could be called opportunity manager, or it could be called capture manager. Assume all 3 are same. So capture manager, sales manager, opportunity manager, because terminology wise there won't be consistency, but in this case you will need to fairly assume that's same. So that's the overall principle there. Matching, multiple response, 2 things here. Again, see, they have set the scenario and you just need to pick it up from the scenario. Again, when you read it, the reason I ask you to do more and more questions is because then you will very quickly see a scenario, find who's the proposal manager or CSS proposal manager, find who's this WT. Okay, WT is another company. What are they trying to do here? They're trying to work together maybe. Now, let me go and read it. Tick, tick, tick. You just get it done. Assertion. This is what I meant. Sorry, multiple response done, assertion. So assertion is the third form, which is like you read the column, you read the reason. Start with the reason first. You read the reason very quickly. Find whether the answer is true or false. At the side, in a piece of paper, a white piece of paper ready for the exam, say true, true, false, false, true, true, whatever is it. Do the same thing here. True, false, 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 true, true. Answer. Now, find did you find both truths in both the columns on both sides? If it's false, true, true, false, but one answer is true and true, then you need to do the second level of testing. The second level of testing, you're going to look what's written on column A and then say, is column B the reason for column A to happen? If the answer is yes, is true. If the reason doesn't explain the assertion, then the answer is B, and you move on. It's slightly time consuming, but this is where easy marks comes up. So point number here, we already talked about it, assertion, multiple responses there. I'm just again saying you the message again. Understand the question types really well. Now, We looked at the syllabus. We also looked at the different parts, what's important, what's not important. You need to understand, get to the mindset of this. Again, there are a few slides here. I'm not going to go through all the slides. You will need to go back and take the syllabus, take your practice. There are a few free resources available. Your very first thing is you just need to be familiar with the syllabus. So download the practitioner guide that's available in the APMP website. Then go back and look at the syllabus that's mentioned there, and go back and log into APMP POK and try to cross-reference. Because BOK, as you know, is just a list of best practices, body of knowledge. It's not exam tips or exam techniques or related. It's just a body of knowledge. So whatever written there is not what's going to be asked, but you just need to be absolutely clear on that. So the very first thing is cross-reference the syllabus and get the APMP BOK. Map that up. So now we have looked at the scenario, we looked at the question type, we looked at the actual syllabus areas, and now we are going to look at the scenario. The scenario, I've been told that there are at least 8 question banks. There are 8 question banks, so that the question changes, because we always debate after the test with the students, like, what did you ask, what did you ask? And not everybody within the same cohort got the same type of scenario. So you may need to be wary of that. So the point here is, assuming that there is a scenario in the APMG mock test, there is a SOLAS who's a buyer, and there will be 3 providers, XYZ, in this case, CSS, WTT, and ACS. And the scenario, most of the time, will be event management related, which will be similar to what you find in the APMG mock, but you can also find cybersecurity related scenario, which is like the buyers and the providers might be the same, but they want to install cybersecurity. There is a cybersecurity threat. The tender is about cybersecurity. What do you do to do what it takes, etc. So you now need to also keep a note. Writing a scenario itself is a skill. We just need to get to a practice. Who is the buyer? What are their pain points? Fine. Who are the different providers? What are their strengths? Where do they lack areas? Finally, who is the incumbent, who is not an incumbent, who's bidding against them, and then who is actually trying to partner with anybody. You should be in a position very quickly within the first 15 minutes. Take a piece of paper, write all these things. Please write. Don't even think that I'm going to look at my screens and stuff. You will be destroyed into pieces in the real exam. I'll be very honest with you, because in the scenario, when the scenario comes up, you cannot go back and read your scenario. You have to look at the notes and then say, okay, this is about CSS bid manager. What do I know about CSS? Okay, they are XYZ company. This is what okay, fine. Now I'm going to answer. In that way, it helps you. I want you to get to the habit of writing. I know it's hard, but get to the habit of writing in a piece of paper, not typing notes. So then you'll be able to add even more to it. So very, very important, 15 minutes, take it, do it. The reason I ask you to do the mock test is mainly for the other reason. So next one is, this is a mock test link. Please do take the mock test. If you are, I don't know, whenever you're planning to take it, please do register and take it with no preparation, zero preparation. I just want you to get a feel for, if I go and take the exam today with what I know about the way of working, my own knowledge, my own experience, my own understanding of things, how much will I score? As I mentioned, you're going to score somewhere between 30 to 45. If you score more than 45, please take the exam as soon as you can. But if you are scoring 30, believe me, that jump between 30 to 40 is not as easy as you think. So that's why we are giving layer by layer here. So free resources, what do you have? APMP Body of Knowledge, APMP Practitioner Guide, APMP Orientation Video, which is the one that Tony Birch talked about it, and some of the content here you can also find there, and then APMG mock. So you take the mock test first, do what it takes, then you go to the other one. In addition to that, you could also come to Baachu, and if you go to Baachu Scribble APMP Practitioner Certification, there are some free resources there as well. You could click. What you will find beneficial is, if you listen to Scribble Talk, hopefully you have listened to Scribble Talk, which add in the chat box, you have. If you haven't, please do. We have condensed all the syllabus areas in an audio format. That's a small gift from us to you. So if you're a person who prefer listening to audiobooks, that might be useful for you. So in that way, mentally, you can get all the knowledge areas. So you can go and put the free resources there. We have also summarized some of the body of knowledge articles and made it as a small articles. There are a few videos as well. that you can also watch about the syllabus. So that's the small thing for us. If you can, just do that additional resources just so that you can help. So how do you utilize the free resources more effectively? I'm really sorry if it's too dense because unfortunately this is dense, but next week onwards, we'll be back to fun. So log into APMP, be okay, familiarize yourself with body of knowledge. Next one, use the syllabus, which is when I say attached, it's in the practitioner guide, and map your syllabus to the body of knowledge. It's very, very important. Remember, it's 12, 28, 28, 12. So you should be absolutely knowing where is my key strengths, where is the areas that I'm weak. That's what we have done there. Then the practitioner guide also talked about question type. Get the question type, know about the question type. Then review the important slides, which is the 3 slides that I talked about, and have a plan. Because if you focus, if you give attention to everything the same way, that might be edgy for you. You should know absolutely, I'm good in certain areas, I might need to improve in the other areas, and you plan accordingly. That's the important slide. Does mock test? Fine. Take the mock test at the very end, screenshot the result. Don't close it. I know you'll be exhausted after 2.5 hours. Don't close it, take screenshot. If you are cheeky, I know this is recorded, but I just want you to pass the paper. If you are, you know what, take the test, but if you want, at the very end, screenshot the results, because it will tell you scored 35, 45, 55, 65, maybe 80 up to 80, but it also tells you which syllabus areas, how much did you score in planning, how much did you score in research and development. You need to know that so that you can start to plan it. So next one is, you now know that unfortunately it won't tell you about question types, etc., but you will get a feel for it from your own thing. Man, I found the assertion questions harder when you're doing practicing. I find that maybe I missed in the multiple response, maybe I need to improve the time, etc. Note down your experiences in a piece of paper, please. So what worked for you, what didn't work for you, what you could improve. So next time when you do, you're going to apply those improvement thing, and you're going to take the mock test. You have improved the syllabus area, and you also improved, okay, now for the question type, this is what I'm going to do. Fine. Time management, the way I'm going to read the scenario, apply the scenario, X, Y, Z, done. Now I'm going to retake the mock test. You will find some improvements. 5 marks plus, 5 marks plus, and you just go. The next one is only book the exam if you score above 50 plus in the mock test. You know what? You don't want to retake this exam. Believe me, you don't want to retake the exam. There are many people who self-study, they fail by 2 marks, then they get, oh my God, I've lost my brain. I need to want structured training. I want somebody to push me, nudge me, then they come to us and they pass. But I personally want you to pass yourself. So all that becomes your study notes. The way you approach this scenario, be okay, question types, syllabus areas, all these things added here. And that becomes your attack plan for the day, and you just go from there. And then you take the identification document and go. So the summary is this. The finding that extra 10 marks is what we are going to go for. That's the whole topic why you are here with me, because I am absolutely confident you will score 30 today or even more. But getting that 3 things, 5 marks, 5 marks, 5 marks, you're building it, and that's it. But exam day will be draining, but it will be very rewarding. So, but only book the exam when it's 50. So if you're taking the exam, message me and share the results. But that's not the real game. This is where most people think, hey, you know what? It's no. This is about your mindset. Because most of you, especially colleagues who haven't taken online exam in a different recently, you will be tested with the APMG system. Unfortunately, APMG system is improving, but you still need to be prepared for some issues. So let's take one thing at a time. As I mentioned, your experience will be unique to you. Second, you are going to unlearn as much as you're going to learn new things. So please don't second guess. Please don't fight. This is how it should work. This is what, nah, don't worry. Fine. You can only control what you can control. This is very, very, very important. There will be so many things that will be outside your control on the exam day. The proctor might have issues, Wi-Fi might have issues, something might happen. So that's outside your control. What's in your control, you just need to start to pull it together. That's where we are going layer by layer. Next one is you are going to focus on incremental improvements. You cannot jump from 30 to 50. If you jump, then that's an uneven results. In the real exam, I'm not sure how much you will score. So you need to incrementally feel that you're improving. Hey, I am now, even though it's the same mock test, believe me, you won't be actually feeling that it's so easy. You are going to find that nuances of improvements, and that's what I want to do. You need to learn to love the assertion questions. Then you need to also have a plan of attack for what you're going to do for other sections, which is the weaker part and things. Again, you are not taking the 80 marks. You're not taking 40 out of 80. You are only taking 40 out of 65 or 70, because behavior and attitude and the multiple response might pull you down. So you need to assume that's going to happen. So which is the case, how am I going to push it outside that envelope so that I'm going to score the maximum mark? You need to get to the exam in a mind. We talked about it so that you can improve. And believe me, your ego will be destroyed on this. I'm sorry, your experience, you might be having 25 years experience. You might have won $500 billion of business for your company, but personally don't take it. This is exam, and the exam is done on a syllabus, and it's timed, and it is a certain way of working. So please don't take it personal. For APMG exam, after all these things, it might break down. So you may need to be wary of that. An important thing always is breathe, because I need to have a nudge to breathe, because I hold my breath when I get stressed, but that's it. Now, that's why the pass percentage for this paper is not as bad as you think. It's still 80%, but that was like a long time ago. But I don't know what's the latest in here. But the foundation is 99%. But our students tend to get 100%, but that's because I kind of work through them, line by line, incrementally like that. But believe me, you should never retake it. But here is the thing. If this is overwhelming for you, and if you're a person like me who's like, I know I have to do all these things, I don't have time, and I don't think I'm self-motivated, I have 100 things to do, I just need somebody to make it as a priority, welcome to my world. Because I am not self-motivated. Many people think I am. No, I am not. So this is me training. I train 2 hours every day, and I pass on the responsibility of my health to my trainers. So, and again, it's not wrong, because you can start to do it yourself, then you get frustrated, it's not working, or you can pass it to somebody who's doing it as the part of their main thing, and you can just go with that. So after 150 students, I'm going to give you 5 minutes, because I've just looked at the registration list. We also have some Scribble students who recently joined, and I just want to give them 5 more minutes on this to just say, okay, how they will approach the test, which is pretty much what I said just now, but there is a slight nuances in how they are going to approach the test. From the feedback of this 150 students, what we have done now is we have just tweaked a little bit on the whole structure. And I thought it's important. And now, because you're fairly confident, we have just put like, if you fail, we'll give the money back. You don't need to pay us, or we'll refund the money if you fail. The reason for that is it's been tested and it's been done on a different ways. So what we have here is 2 forms. You can do it online, self-paced, which is what most people prepare, or you come on a day and 3 days, and we could do the thing with you. So I'll send the slides, have a look at those things, because we carved out and we added even more layer to it. And for the Scribble students who are here, this is the journey that you will be going through, which is in addition to self-study students who are going to listen and do the thing. So the 4 core modules will be actually dealt in the 45 video lessons. And we have summarized the body of knowledge, the key concept, examinable material in a study guide. So you don't need to go and look into the website. You have this document, reference document, you can do it offline. And all the thing is summarized. So the study guide is there and the video lessons, then chapter by chapter, you also have slides. So very quickly, you will know the key pointers within the slide. So if you scored, say, 12 marks out of 28 for planning, you can revert back to the past cards and then say, these are the chapters I need to refresh very quickly. You can do that within 30 minutes. And now, once you have done the syllabus areas, and it's important for you to understand where you are. So before you take the mock test. So our classic type-based mock test, it's very quickly will kind of score you. You are going to get 9 out of this, 15 out of this, etc. So it kind of points you the stronger and weaker areas. So even before you add the scenarios, even before you add the question types, etc., how much do you know about the syllabus? that's the first layer we'll be peeling off. So that's done. Once we know that, okay, fine, now I clearly know what it is. Now let me add the scenarios and the other things. So that will be dealt in the revision workshop 1 and 2. They'll be getting that and they'll be doing that. So the important point here is the syllabus is not marked. To be okay, the syllabus is marked here with a study guide. So it's much easier for them to write notes in that or edit and have the things there. So it's there. And that becomes part of your notes as well, which you can take it for the exam. So the next comes what we call the question type. So we have our own sample exam. The sample exam, you could print it. And what it tells you is you don't need to take the sample exam straight from start to end. You can actually go back and do all the question types in one batches. So quickly read the scenario. Then you could, I'm going to do all the assertion questions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And okay, fine, all the assertion questions. Now I'm going to find all the multiple response questions, done. Now I'm going to find the matching and sequence matching classic questions, done. So now it also tells you the answers. So you can also go back and it refers to which syllabus it is. So what that means is you can test your question type. The second layer is how fast I am in doing assertion questions. That's what we are going to do there. Then only you take the mock test. So you take the mock test before the actual one, but now you take the mock test, your chances of getting 40, 45 is already high. But we still insist them to take 3 times, mainly because they want to be in a comfort barrier, so somewhere between 50 plus. And once they score 50 plus, then they go and take the thing. And this is what I mentioned. Use the sample paper 1, sample paper twice, retake the sample papers in bits and pieces. And yes, it's slightly tricky, but I think it's important. You don't need to go and miss it. So it's much more rigid, much more intensive because it's from the lessons of the 150 people. As I mentioned, I failed this test twice. I'm not ashamed to say that. I failed this test twice because of my arrogance. And I thought, I know, I train people. Who do you think I am? And I just went and I failed it. So take this exam in your own thing. So we already talked about exam paper, the APMP mock and other things. There are a few things on the day of the exam, as I told you, come 15, 20 minutes early and get familiarized with the proctor and other things. I just stop there and I'll just leave up and I'll send all these slides with you. There are additional 10, 15 slides that goes with this. But the important question is don't underestimate this paper. I'm glad that you are interested in taking this paper. But point here is, take it one step at a time. Practitioner, what is about? It's about analysis. It's about application of best practice. And then you go one step, one step, one step. The question types, the syllabus areas, analysis versus knowledge base. I'm going to redo the mock test. Now I understand the scenario. I'm going to read it better and you do it. So we expect you are going to spend a minimum of 30 hours on this. If you don't put 30 hours, then the chances of us guaranteeing your success will be very low. So you can go and take the exam. Yes, I'm very busy with my bids and stuff. If that's the case, I wouldn't take it now. This is another interesting fact. People who book the exam for foundation tend to take the foundation exam within the first 1 month. People who book the practitioner exam get pretty much anxious and they force themselves and they pretty much take the exam on the last 2 months before the actual exam expires. So I don't want you to be that person, right? Once you know you have in a good shape, book the exam, take it within 2-3 weeks, like how you do foundation and move on. Because for some people, it will be a cakewalk. I may be overcooking or making over complex here and there, but believe me, it's not as straightforward as we think, and we need to give certain things respect. And this exam definitely have some respect, especially the people who made this exam are not normal people. They are legends, and that's where we are. So I'm going to open it up for questions now, and then we can go from there. So there are lots of FAQs. 2 screens are allowed as well, not 1 screen. You can take the notes with you, have a calculator with you, have a water. There is a 10-minute break. And all these FAQs are written in the Baachu Scribble website. You can go and have a look at that. So recording will be available at the very end. Let me look at any questions. So answer the question. Please do share your questions. The first time I took the practice exam, I didn't know there was a separate scenario to read. Pretty hard without it. Yes. Yeah, thank you, Aurora. Again, it's important. You know what? There are so many moving components here, guys, which you might not be familiar, which you might not be comfortable with. That's why you're moving the layer and you're bringing the uncertainty to the bare minimum. So there shouldn't be anything surprising you other than the proctor who's just going to come and look at you from the webcam, and you're going to show around the screen and say, here we go, I'm all safe to take the exam. That's the only thing. Otherwise, the scenario could be slightly different or it could be completely different. Still, you know how to read the scenario. You know what the question types are. You know what the syllabus areas are. You just take it and you just go with that. So what else you have here? I am Shannon says, if my exam is spotty, is the exam disqualified? No, you can raise it with the proctor. Again, you should come 15 minutes early. Say the proctor, use Google Chrome, not Microsoft Edge or Safari or anything, if possible, because APMG system is not there. If your Wi-Fi is spotty, very quickly you can raise it with the proctor and you can ask him or her, you know what, it's not working for me, I'm going to reschedule the exam. So and that's it. You don't need to add the stress to you. You can tell him, sorry, it's not working, and then I just need to reschedule the exam. It's better you make the brave decision rather than to try to do it and then you click the button and by the time you finish the exam it goes blast and you lose everything. So is there a checklist to guide me? Where do I find that? I'm not sure what checklist is that you're talking about, Shannon, but if you're talking about practitioner preparation, I think the summary points will be your checklist. And that is a good shout. Maybe I'll ask the team to make a one-pager, which is like how to prepare for foundation as a one-pager, and I'll share it with the wider team, with attendees as well. That'd be good. Any other questions? Now is the time to ask. Now? Okay, if that's the case, let me continue with the last few slides then. And I'll come back and I'll ask you if there is any questions, I'll respond to that. So few questions about the things that outside your control. The only thing I believe personally, if you put the time on, is the proctor, which is outside your control, and which is, once you register for the exam, remember you are registering for the exam on a particular slot. Unlike foundation, when you click, you can start anytime. Here, you can only start maybe 30 minutes or 30 minutes before your actual session, so that you can click, show your identity, show your place is safe, if this is who you are, and you can click and start, skip, and that's one. The other one is, personally, please don't book the exam on a busy day or anything like that, because this exam is going to drain you. So what that means is, don't book exam first thing in the morning, say 8:39, or last thing in the evening. Pick up somewhere in between, so that you could still put your minds on and register your exam somewhere between, say, 10-ish, 10:30. So if you are an early bird, if you are in your test by 7:30, then I suggest you start 9 o'clock. But if you're somebody who starts the day at 9, I suggest you book the exam around 10:30. Try to switch off, have a good environment, tell people that you are on an exam. It's up to you if you are paranoid. Some people don't want to take their own team or the family, but it's better for others to know that you are doing this, because when you go through the steps which I mentioned, there is no way you're going to fail the paper, which means all you need to focus on is on the day. Preferably choose a slot in the morning, because it's 2.5 hours, but if English is not your first language, it takes slightly longer, up to 3 hours. By the time the proctor starts, by the time you finish, it could be 3.5 hours. If you take a break 10 minutes in between, which I suggest not to do, but again, you might have your metabolism, which is different on the day, and some other biological things that might happen. I don't know, but plan this, because when I took the exam, I had COVID. When I took the capture practitioner, I had COVID, because I was one of the guy who registered for the exam and then realized my exam expires in 3 days. So I prepared, pushed it, and I took it, and I scored 42 and I passed. Don't be me. Don't be me. That would be my advice. So plan it in advance. Let people know this is what you're doing. Put some time on this, and then work around it. And once the exam is done, once you click it, unlike foundation, you're going to get the actual score. But don't be, the important thing is you are just scoring 40. If you score 40, happy. Anything more than 40 is a bonus. And that's what I just want you to aim for. So if there is one thing which I want you to get away from today, is that part, which is you're going to get 30, take a mock test as soon as possible, get a feel for it, regardless whether you're going to take within a month, within 3 months, within 6 months, or within this year. Take a mock test, get a feel for it. Oh, nice. I'm now in this shape. Now, how am I going to incrementally get to that additional 10 or 15 marks, or to be in a comfortable position, that 20 marks? Have your own specific plan, how you're going to achieve that, and then move from there. So that's about it. The rest of the slides and other things and the webinar recordings, everything, you know how the whole thing works. So for the people who have stayed till long, as I mentioned, your support is our inspiration. So because you stayed till the very end, let me share the Scribble Talk questions, Scribble questions. So this is a dry topic. So I'm going to start with a few easy ones. So which question type and which syllabus area I mentioned as you need to be slightly more attentive? Add in the chat box. Yeah, keep going. Yeah, the syllabus areas, which is behavior and attitude, and the question type, which is assertion, is going to be the one that you need to be wary of. So well done for colleagues who have tried it. Obviously, Scribble quests for every answer, and for people who have asked questions and stuff, we counted, we reward them with points. And for colleagues who attend frequently, you will be on the leaderboard, and there will be a lot more that comes with this. But next question. How much mark is split between knowledge and analysis, approximately? So knowledge is like you don't even need to read the scenario. You just go read the question, answer, move on. Whereas the analysis is use the scenario. How is the split? No, it's actually lower than that, Krishna. Sorry, Aurora, you don't remember. Try, think it, because these are the things that you are going to find your own way of working, because it's important for you to get to the bottom of these things. So what you find here is, and again, people who screenshot it might know the answer here. So what you find here is your application question is normally like 22, 25, maximum 30 out of 80. And the rest of it will be analysis. So you just need to plan roughly out of 80 marks, close to 45 to 50 marks will be analysis, will be scenario based. And then the rest of it, which is 25-ish to 35, will be on this. So you need to go with 2/3 to 1/3. 1/3 will be 1/3 will be application. So 1/3 will be application, which is just based on the best practices, and 2/3 will be analysis. Again, that's how you kind of match it. The last one is what is again, I'm just making up as we speak. So I actually didn't plan for this. Okay, let me pick this one. Okay. Okay, right. I think the last one is more or less going to be, I know I told you about 80% is the pass mark, but approximately what mark are you actually going to write for? Because you just need to also balance this, right? Because 80 marks, you are not actually writing 80 marks, because there will be 10 marks where even if you are even if you have 45 years experience of that, there will be 10 marks where unless you have the mindset of the examiner, you will be missing it. So, and as Shannon just mentioned, you're aiming for somewhere between 40 to 65 marks. That's what all I'm aiming for. So, hope this session was useful. Thank you again for joining. I know this is a dry subject, and don't worry, we'll be back of having a lot of guests. Next week, we have Abhijit from APMP India, the chair of APMP India, sharing about design thinking in proposals. And then we have Rebecca Link from the NCA chapter talking about reviews, color reviews and stuff. So that's it. So please do share if you find it useful. Follow our social media. Slides and webinars will be shared with you in the next 48 hours. That's it from me. And if you're looking for training and stuff, you have all the details in Baachu Scribble. But do your best on this. Thank you again for joining and sharing. Hope this was useful. Send me a message to just say whether it was useful. Then we can change it and maybe make a slight version of this. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for joining. Stay healthy, and I will speak to you very soon. Thank you all. Take care. Bye.